You're now listening to Sound Talent Media. Check out more shows at soundtalentmedia.com.
Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Matt McGackie, the vocalist of Cryptopsy and the host of the Vox and Hops Metal Podcast, where I sit down with fellow metal musicians. We talk all about their lives and music while sharing killer craft beers. If you've ever wanted to sneak backstage and share a beer with one of your favorite musicians, well, Vox and Hops is the podcast for you. This week on the podcast, I dropped a killer episode with Kelly Schaefer of Atheist. There is this episode and over 440 other ones to help you enjoy life, metal, and craft beer. So what are you waiting for? It's time to become a Vox and Hops head. Cheers!
Hey, what is up? Thank you so much for coming and spending time with me today on this episode of the podcast. This is a very excellent episode, and I'm stoked to get it to you. But first, I need to tell you about how you can potentially win an epic guitar rig. Oh yeah, we're not messing around with this one. So, if you have not gotten a chance to listen to the episode that premiered over the weekend, yeah, we debuted a bonus episode with a bunch of pedal builders over the weekend. Go check that out after you get done with this one. And you have missed the Instagram and other social media posts about it. Let's get you clued in on the details. Basically, we are giving away a guitar rig worth over $4,600 from guitar to amp, custom pedal board, amazing pedals, cables, the whole works. All you have to do is go to pedalraffle.com to check it out. And even better, this isn't just some random marketing gear giveaway. This goes to help people. So as many of you know, there have been a lot of wildfires in my area, which caused a lot of my friends and family to have to evacuate, and even my own household to be put on an evacuation notice. It was really freaky there for a while. In fact, the whole West Coast seemingly was on fire. It was really nuts. So once things settled down for me, I gathered a bunch of my friends from the gear community for this epic giveaway, and somebody is winning an amazing prize. So go to pedalraffle.com to check out all the details, and just know that the beneficiaries of this are people who have been displaced or impacted, and the firefighters that are striving to keep us safe. So go to pedalraffle.com to check that out. Please, please, please go check that out. It's in the show notes. Again, that address is pedalraffle.com. Okay, with the house cleaning out of the way, please, please, please welcome my wonderful guest, Aisha from Low Sounds. I've been very excited to get you this one. I mean, we just hit it off. It was one of those ones where we were just straight vibing, as the kids say, or as some adults say, or as the internet says. Anyway, we were having a great time. Aisha is amazing, and we had a great conversation, so I won't get in the way of that anymore. Check it out. Let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob Podcast, the show about guitar tone and the people behind it. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today, I have Aisha Low from Low Sounds. What's going on?
Nothing much. Just hanging out on a Saturday, building some pedals, making some weird things today.
Oh, weird things. I love weird things.
Yeah. I like, I don't know, I'm kind of obsessed with these like tape warbly type of sounds lately, so
yeah.
Working on something like that.
That's really cool. Yeah, that seems to be the sound that's been in my life a lot lately. I just did a demo here last week or so I put a new tape in my tape echo, and it's still warbly. So I'm guessing
it's something else,
that it's not the tape. Yeah, which, I mean, I like it. Andy Martin, he messaged me after he watched it, and he was like, you got to take it to this guy. It'll smooth everything out. And I'm like, I don't know if I want it smoothed out. I'm not sure that
it's kind of cool the way it is.
Yeah. But at the same time, his Echoplex has been serviced by, it's Brian Sowers of Sour Sound here in Portland. And his Echoplex is the best sounding tape delay I've ever played. So he might know a thing or two about it, I would assume.
Nice. I have a Space Echo, but I barely use it except for like recording because I don't know how to work on it. And that's what I hear. Unless you can find, a reliable person to work on them, you better just learn how to fix it. And so that's good information. There's someone to send it to if anything goes wrong.
Yeah, so I guess before we get off in too far into the weeds, the Echo Fix people in Australia, they have repaired all kinds of tape machines forever. And so they've actually developed new parts that they sell. And then Brian Sowers here in Portland, he's well known for doing amps, but he's been repairing a lot of tape echoes as well using their parts. And yeah, so those are like the tape echo people from what I gather.
It's so cool that they did that, because there's a lot of people out there who, like myself and you, who love the sound of it and know that there's nothing like it,
It just feels so good.
It has
I've played
ambiance.
some really good. Yeah, it's that saturation and that grit. I've played some pedals that do a really great job at emulating it, but there's something magical, and it might just be in my head. But when you
It's
play
like
the real
some
thing,
this is a really technical term, but it's got some extra little oomph in there.
yes,
Just like
I appreciate the technical
as
terms.
soon as you turn it on, it doesn't do anything to your tone that's like, this is cool, but that's not. You turn it on and it only seems to enhance it somehow.
It's the tonal fairy dust. It has to be something
I agree.
along those lines. Well, let's get into your story. I don't know that much about you. I know we've followed each other on the interwebs for quite a while now, it seems like, but I don't actually know what you're all about. And I know you make rad pedals, and that's what I know. So how about your musical backstory? When did you get started playing, and what led you down the path to making effects?
I was one of those kids who at 4 years old was like, I'm going to be a musician forever. And so as soon as I could rent a clarinet, I begged my parents, and I just did the whole school band thing. And then the years where I was in school growing up, metal was huge. So I got a guitar, started taking guitar lessons, and being probably the only girl playing metal at the time out there in Jersey and New York, except for White Zombie at the time, I think. But yeah, so things move on. And then I've always played with my two brothers. My one brother's a drummer. The other one plays sitar and guitar sometimes. I'm a bass player. And so for a decade, them and our two other brothers who we've known forever started this 9-person crazy orchestra band called Ghoul. And so I did that for a decade, like I was saying. It was amazing. And then I just kind of got the itch to go out to California. Went out to LA, and it's still my number one place. It's so weird to say that, but I just love it. And so I spent 10 years there just being totally, playing gigs. I was in an electronic band where the same members were also in a punk trio simultaneously.
Nice.
So we did this kind of experiment in LA. You could do that and just play more shows, whatever, and play different kind of music. So it was a great 10 years. And then I got married, and the person I married to, Fiona, who does the art on our pedals and stuff, she grew up in Berkeley, up in NorCal. So we got a spot in Oakland, and we stayed there for about 8 years. And during that time, I think I was just really missing LA and how much collaboration with other musicians, and just it's a music town. And so, I tried to play with a few people, you do the Craigslist ad thing, whatever, and just kind of nothing came of it for years and years. And then I finally said, well, I'm kind of tired of recording. I record all the time. So I decided I'm going to learn how to build guitar pedals because I love them so much. And so I pretty much hunkered down during my time in Oakland and spent a few years just really learning as much as I could online, and getting help from some real nice folks on the forums. And eventually sort of it takes me a while to get all the information, but it's I started to recognize pieces of things oh, this isn't that thing that I really like this circuit, and yada yada. So you start to learn how to kind of put the pieces together in ways that please your ear, I guess. It's the best way to say it. So anyways, and then a couple years ago, my friend, one of my friends convinced me, even though I'm social media phobic usually, like, you should just join Instagram and start posting your builds up there. So, yeah, I said, all right. It is really, it's kind of fun taking pictures of them and that sort of thing. So I finally joined, and the response was just really amazing from folks. Just being so sweet and kind and getting amazing compliments. Now I'm a total pro Instagram person because I've met so many nice people, It's just been nothing but joy so far. And that's
Instagram,
me.
that's nice. I like that. That gives me a lot of things to shoot off of. But Instagram's a weird anomaly in the social media space, at least for like music stuff. I was just talking about this last night with a listener. Hey Justin, how you doing? You'll remember this conversation. I've been really focusing on YouTube this month because I should have been doing that years ago. So I have all this stuff, and I have the ability to make demos and stuff, and I just have never really done it. And it seems kind of dumb. Like I'll post things on Instagram, and people are like, we want to hear it, and I'm like, yeah, that is kind of the point of it, right? Like it's a music making device.
It's nice to have more than a minute or 15 seconds or whatever.
Yeah. And the IGTV stuff was great too, but you're just kind of limited on your discoverability to some degree. And YouTube is the huge behemoth that it is, and so I was like, all right, I'm going to do YouTube. And I what did I do? I unboxed the Squire, and I wrote Squire incorrectly. Well, I wrote it correctly, but not how Fender spells it. And this gentleman informed me that you're going to get ate alive by the Squire folks if you don't spell that with the E before the R the way Fender does. And I was like, really? People care? And then I got to talking to him, and I'm like, YouTube is just much more vicious than Instagram. I was like, oh,
totally.
That's true.
Totally.
I don't know if that's because it's larger.
You feel somewhat more insulated, I feel like, for some reason on Instagram. Yeah, YouTube just attracts the trolls. It's true. It's just because it's huge, I think.
Huge,
it's like the easiest thing to do for the cowards and jerks out there.
Yeah, it's somewhat less anonymous because you don't. I don't know, not really, but it feels more anonymous. I guess I said less, but I meant more.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's probably like it's probably like just as bad. I'm watching all these like movies and shows about data mining lately, and it's just like, well, I guess they just own everything.
Are you talking about the one that's on Netflix? I just forgot the name of it.
Oh, what's it called? I'm terrible with names. Was Social something?
Yes, The Social Experiment. No, that isn't right. I don't remember.
It's like you can't miss it if you go to Netflix, though. It's like the first banner or whatever.
I wonder if it's just going to tell me what I already know, because I pay
that's
attention
how I
to
felt.
this stuff.
Yeah, watch it. It's where the watch it's done well, but like it just kind of confirmed what I already knew, and it's like, well, we can either freak out about it or use it for our own, good, making art, music, whatever.
Yeah, that's kind of the way I look at it. It's like that. If we had known what we were signing up for, with like these terms and conditions, it's not because we didn't read them. And I mean, nobody does read them, but like, it's even if you did, you'll see a little section in there in all of them that says we can change this whenever we want, and we don't have to notify you. So It's like, well, it doesn't even really matter what you're agreeing to if that clause is in there. So
yeah, they own you. That's just it.
Yeah. I wonder if that as that becomes more and more common knowledge, I wonder if that's going to change the way people view these platforms. I'm not sure.
I'm kind of hoping that some of the developer people will like develop like a consciousness around it and, try to think of ways to make it, I guess, a little more ethical towards people's privacy. It seems like a really huge task at this point.
Does.
Yeah.
The tipping point for me when I knew something was up, and I should have known before this, but this was probably 3 or 4 years ago when Mark Zuckerberg was photographed in front of his computer, and he had tape over the camera on his laptop. I was like, Zuck has tape over his camera. That guy knows more about this stuff than any of us, and he has tape over his camera. What does that tell you?
Yeah, well, according to that film, none of their kids are allowed to have screens. So that's another like, okay, so you create this stuff and you perpetrate it or whatever, but your own kids, you won't allow them on this,
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Things that make you go,
Exactly. CNC Music Factory, very nice.
Yes. I wondered. Nobody ever picks up on that.
Oh.
Very nice.
Oh, me and my bandmate Scott are like the one-hit wonder. We can pick up on any one of them from the 80s on up, I guess. Many a road trip.
Do you have any suggestions, like a one-hit wonder that nobody really talks about? Like everyone knows Rick Astley, but somebody else.
Yeah, and he's actually got like hits. He's like Ace of Base-ish, his level, whatever.
That's true.
Let's see, a one-hit wonder that is. There's a Paul McCartney. No, it's not a hit though. That's the thing. It's not just one-hit wonders that we would go through. It's just like, this one song that was good of this band that had all this other stuff we didn't like. I don't know. I'm at a loss right now because there's just so many.
You on the spot.
It's hard to pick one. There's just so many of them.
What was the Paul McCartney one you were thinking of?
Well, it's actually not a hit. It's kind of like one that people might not know about, but it's called "Arrow Through Me." I think it was when he was in Wings, but it's just got this insane groove to it, and I realized, I know this song. But it was because Erykah Badu had sampled it and made it famous. So then when I heard the original, I was like, wait a minute. This song's amazing. So that's my little one nugget I got is that song. There's this piano part in the beginning that's nuts. And it's just groovy and good. And, he's a Beatle. Come on. You have to like Paul McCartney in my book.
I agree. It's kind of weird to he comes up on the show, fairly frequently. I mean, he is Paul McCartney after all. But I interviewed a guy who actually got to work with him for a day, and I didn't know that. Like going into the interview, his name is JD Simo, and he talked about working with Paul, and it was just like, whoa, this is trippy to hear about somebody that's actually worked around him. It's really what
an opportunity! Wow.
Yeah. And then another guy, Bob from Best Coast, he, this is less of a thing, but he was like, I just was walking down the hall and there was Paul McCartney in the studio and he said hi and we walked by. I'm like, you actually saw him in just normal person?
Yeah, my knees would have kind of gone out a little, your knees get a little weak. You're like, was that just what?
Yeah. But I have to remind myself that that's the one thing there's lots of things, but one of the main things that's came from doing this show is I've gotten to meet some people that I really admire musically. And it's they're just dudes. They're just people. They're just hanging out, eating, crackers and
Totally.
Normal people. Weird. It's like they're normal people. Paul McCartney's just a dude, but he's also Paul McCartney.
Normal to us, music freak people.
That's true. We are weird.
Yeah, I mean, my wife and I, Fiona and I, are into such different things. We kind of intersect on art and music, and it's just really funny, because we'll have coming from such different places when it comes to that. She's like, I don't understand why you freak out about this music, this pedal drop or this or that. It's like, hey, I just get excited. I don't know why.
What was the first pedal that got you really excited?
Well, the first one I ever bought was a bass wah. I'm a bass player who was a guitar player first. I took guitar lessons for a few years, and then I started seeing somebody who was a guitarist, and he would jam with this drummer who was really good all the time. They said, "Hey, could you play bass just so we can write?" And like pretty much the first or second time I did it, I was like, I think I want to do this. And so, just kind of came at it from that side. So I think, the bass wah, I still use it to this day. I have the same 7 pedals on my board. I've got hundreds, and I cycle them through. When I'm recording, I use a lot of different pedals. I don't have like a pedal board when I record. So I'm going to have 20 of them on the floor here, hooked up to my Ableton Live, doing my sample recording and whatnot. But as far as like when I play with the guys, my board always has the same 7 pedals for like 25 years now. And so something's good with those pedals. You know what I mean? So the one pedal, like if I couldn't have the whole board, would be Electro-Harmonix Deluxe Memory Man.
Oh, yeah. Good
so you can
choice.
do a lot with that thing. Mm-hmm. And talk about when you plug it in, it just has the ambience. It's like I just prefer my bass through it, even when it's off, than without it.
Yeah, there's something really magical about that circuit. Even Behringer, they did a clone, I don't know how long ago it was, a long time ago, maybe even like 10 years ago, called the Vintage Time Machine.
Oh, yeah.
And people play it and they freak out. They're like, I can't believe how good this pedal is. I'm like, it's because it's a direct rip of a Memory Man. Of course it sounds good.
I'm not going to lie. I buy Behringer pedals, like cheapy ones when I can find them, so I can try out all these crazy mods so I don't mess up my like real deals before I know if it works or not.
Of course. That's a good move. I didn't really think about that. They're perfect for that. If you mess it up, it's like, okay, well.
Yeah, it was $20 or whatever. And then, I try not to be wasteful. I'll like at least reuse parts of it, but it's not as much. It's not as much of a loss as if it was your original Memory Man.
No. Yeah, I'm kind of weird with electronics in general. My microwave went out here the other day, and I decided, I'm like, I Googled and found some things that was like, it's probably this. And so I was like, I'm going to fix it.
Oh my gosh.
It didn't end up being that. So, I mean, microwaves are cheap, but it was interesting looking at the guts of it and going, I'm like, oh, this is all like, first of all, this is how dorky I am. Through my like investigations, I realized that almost all microwaves are basically the same outside of like really expensive ones that have extra programmability or whatever. Like your regular microwave, like they're like the one I bought to replace mine literally just has a different looking control panel. No, the case is even the same.
Oh, no
it's
way.
literally just the control panel. The dishes, like the little glass dish and everything fit in, they are swappable. So we like kept the old dish just in case it breaks. Anyway,
that's it. That's somewhat eco-friendly, I guess, maintaining a sizing standard, or I don't know.
Well, what I found most interesting about it is when I took the control panel off to get to the little micro switches, is the board was all through hole. I kind of expected it to be, I totally expected it to be SMD, and it was all through hole. Granted, this is like a 10-year-old microwave, so maybe they've changed, but I don't know. I'm not going to take apart my new one.
Now I'm going to start taking those apart because I go to all these salvage places and I just take stuff apart, and I never take apart microwaves. But if you're telling me there's some through hole, then who knows? I might find something yummy in there. Well, hopefully not some old food, but
ooh, yummy.
Yum! This is crusty.
Vintage. It's vintage food.
Vintage microwavable food.
This is a Hungry Man dinner from 1993. Oh man.
My gosh. I was telling my niece and nephew last night at dinner, I said, our mom cooked all the time, right? So we used to beg for those like TV dinner things because I don't know, the other kids ate them. But that was really just because their moms were like too lazy to make them dinner.
Oh, no.
But we used to beg for those Hungry Mans. We like that nasty Salisbury steak one,
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
definitely eating those. Oh.
Oh man.
Harsh.
I know the feeling though, because my mom always made my food too. And I mean, I love that part of my childhood.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
it was so delicious, but I did like get really excited once every couple months when she would buy like
Junk food.
Lunchables or something, and I'd be like, I
Yeah.
get Lunchables. Oh yes. And now in retrospect, it's like, but she made you these glorious sandwiches
I
that like
know.
you could charge like $8 for at a
Right?
deli or something. It's
My
weird.
little
Kids
brother
are
was
weird.
smart because he would trade his. Because the kids would always be like, oh, you have a real egg salad sandwich. And so he would trade for the Lunchables.
It's a bad sign when you are in school and you get super excited that the hot lunch is a Taco Bell bean burrito.
Oh,
It's like, it's
yum.
Taco Bell. We're
That's
so
like
excited.
that's the ultimate tour fuel, too. Like if you're just like super broke, you can get a bag full of those things for like $5.
I'm trying to remember who it was. Somebody I interviewed on this show, their band or a friend, one of their friends' bands, something. They actually got sponsored by Taco Bell,
That's
so they could
amazing.
just for free the whole tour. I'm like, well, that's actually kind of great because there's always a Taco Bell, and they're
And that's
open
worth
for.
at least $50.
That's right.
If
for
you
the whole tour.
if you just ate your heart out the whole tour, you might rack up $100.
It's amazing how cheap it is. It's also
I
slightly
know, it
frightening.
makes you wonder. I was going to say, like, what is in that, really?
Soylent
Promises
Green
and
is people.
secrets and delicious
knows?
powder, whatever.
Powdered something or other from the depths
Powdered
of who knows.
deliciousness. It's like our version of MSG, whatever that thing is that makes all Subways taste the same, all Subway sandwiches and all McDonald's French fries, whatever the flavor juice is they use.
It's American. American.
That's America.
Yeah, that's America, baby. That's
We
what
got
put in it.
flavor enhancers.
We have no idea what the repercussions of them are, but we have them, and they're glorious. And everybody else wants them.
Once
or
in
whatever.
a while, you got.
Yeah, I get it. I had Wendy's for the first time in forever yesterday, just because it was National Cheeseburger Day, and my son really wanted chicken nuggets, and they were giving away chicken nuggets if you got a cheeseburger.
Nice. So you dove in.
I went for it. Yeah, they have they've re-released their pretzel. What is it? I can't remember what it's called now. They're like pub pretzel burger or whatever. And I gotta say, it's been a long time since I've been to Wendy's. Underrated fast food. It's pretty solid.
They were always like one of the better ones, I feel like. Like maybe their ingredients are a little better. The chicken sandwich was really delicious from what I remember. I haven't had one in ages, but the other night I was so tired coming home from rehearsing. I drive an hour and a half.
Woof.
That's the distance between me and my one brother and then the other 4 people. And so we drive down to Jersey to play, and I'm driving home and I'm just starving, And I'm not going to lie to you, I almost like hit the Arby's. You ever have one of those roast beef sandwiches at Arby's?
Oh yeah.
That is like a perfectly flavored food. whatever that thing actually is, it's just so delicious. And I had, my brother to shame me. He's like, don't do it. Because then he'd do it too,
Right. Of course. Yeah, it's a thing. Like, I normally try to eat pretty good. I talk about nothing but like food that isn't good for you on the podcast, so people think I just eat pizza all the time. But like, I do try to eat pretty good most of the time, and I like really good food. But sometimes you got to give in a little, and get yourself that Big Mac once in a while. You gotta do it.
I do it. I have to do it kind of secretly because my family will shame me.
Yeah, exactly. You can't tell anybody.
Everyone's pretty healthy. We eat really healthy. We live on this like basically little tiny farm here in New Paltz. We got chickens and like crops and stuff. It's amazing. That
sounds fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Coming from Oakland, it's like it's such a, we just did a 180, like just such a different kind of life. But it's been really amazing to just not be on guard all the time. When you live in the city, you got this crackhead over here and you got this over there, and you're always dealing with something. And out here, you can kind of just be, just to be able to sit out in the yard and just not get bothered by anybody and sit on the grass.
Right.
Haven't been able to do that in a lot of years, and it's sweet. Good to be. I'm living with my brother and his family. It's amazing. We're playing music again, and not letting the whole COVID thing like turn our music to a grinding halt if we can help it. We're safe about it, but we all feel like it's really important. And now we're going back to like the real reasons why you play in the first place. It's not to like get rich or famous. It's just because you love playing music, So whether you're playing shows or recording or just doing it for the simple love of it, we all feel like we got to do it, and it feels great to do. People got to keep playing music.
I mean, it's a weird thing to think about, right? Because how much some of us just need that outlet and need that in our lives, like that desire and that need to fill the space with sound. I don't know what it is that drives a person to that, but like I was not happy like at like a pretty good job. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was in a position where I had tried to get for years, thinking that it was going to make me happier in my day to day. And it didn't. That's when I started doing this and like talking to more musicians and just getting heavier and heavier involved into the music world. That's what made me really happy, is to be working on that stuff. So now I'm working more than ever, and weirdly making a lot less money, but I'm way happier. Yeah. So it's fine.
We're finding that too. Like I was saying at the beginning of our conversation, you just have to have a lot of hustles nowadays. We all got to roll with it as best we can, considering the circumstances. But doing the music stuff is just going to help keep you, I think, motivated for life in general. It's just, it gives you back a lot. And anyone who dives in and, tries it, I'm always a big proponent with the kids and their friends. Like my niece and nephew play several instruments, and, always encouraging them. And it's really cool to see it light them up, the way it lights you up. To be able to share that with as many people as you can is a true gift. And we have a gift that we can do it, I think a lot more people could honestly do it if they try too. It is a gift, but I think a lot of people have the gift.
I think so, but I also think that to be able to do it at a level that, or to have the drive to do it, is actually, I think, that maybe the gift more so than the talent itself sometimes. Because I'm not naturally talented at all, like at all. I had to work really hard to get semi-proficient at the guitar, and that's questionable. But it's having that drive to try to do it, I think, might be the actual gift.
I think you're right. That like whatever it is that makes you be able to go and practice for 4 or 5 hours a day, every day, and look forward to it and not dread it, especially, hanging out with the kids. It's like, sometimes it's hard to get them to practice, but when there's that drive there, really I get what you're saying. It's just so important to have that, to get to that level of where I feel like it's like the 2-year mark or something. When I was taking lessons, you're just learning all these scales and chords and stuff and songs. And then like that first jam with people, I think that's what does it too. You realize like, wow, okay, I worked really hard and now I can actually do this with people. And it propels you to like want to keep getting better. It's like what the yoga people say, deepening their practice. That's what we're doing.
That's right. That makes sense. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Daniel Donato. He's a guitar player in Nashville, younger dude, but just absolute shredder. he was on the show, and he made me feel weirdly like a lot better about my, level, I guess, because, you look at somebody like him and everyone's like, this guy is just such a killer player. Like, he's just unbelievably talented, and he is unbelievably talented. He has a natural ability, but he told me, he's like, I also practice for 10 to 14 hours a day for years.
Wow.
So I'm like, oh, I've never done that. I'm probably never going to do that. So that makes me feel better to know that, like, even though he is naturally talented, if I put in that kind of time, I'd be a lot better. Like, there's no way that you wouldn't be better if you spent 14 hours a day playing guitar. You would be. There's just no way around it.
Which is exactly why the drive is the gift.
Yes. He's got more of it than I do.
Yeah. Well, you know what, too, though, I don't know about you, but with music now, it's like there's, you can do blog, you can do vlog, you can do Instagram. There's all these extra ways to express yourself musically. And so I don't know about for you, but for me, it's like I have a hard time dividing time between playing music, practicing, building pedals, breadboarding stuff, I don't know, all the different aspects of music, listening to podcasts, watching music biopics. So it's just this all-encompassing world to me. But in order to shred like that, I mean, you got to put in those crazy dozen-hour days. The metal years were all about that. I remember my brother and my partner at the time would do that Steve Vai 7-hour guitar workout.
Oh boy.
It's like this thing I think he published it in one of the magazines back in the day. And so these two would just for weeks just trying to do the back and forth on that thing. It takes a lot of practice to play Steve Vai.
Oh yes. Yeah, he's unreal. I'd love to talk to him someday. I wonder what kind of nuggets he would drop.
Yeah, I hear he's a super nice guy, too.
That's what I've heard. Everybody I know that's met him has said he was awesome to talk to. So I'm fingers crossed that one day I might get to. That'd be a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Amazing.
So tell me about your pedals. What's the first pedal that you came out with that was like available for people to pick up?
Well, initially I just started posting stuff I was building for myself. And a lot of folks would say, "Hey, can I buy that?" And then, I'm kind of a hoarder. So I'm like, well, I'm keeping this one, but I can make another one, And so I started to notice, okay, well, there's this one particular one that people keep asking me to make for them in whatever, like, physical incarnation it ends up being. Because all our pedals end up being different. So we try to approach them as, visually, as stunning as sound, right? So we're just trying to make every person get something kind of unique. And so I noticed that people love fuzz, and people love, at least at the time when I was starting a few years ago, the super fuzz was kind of like the thing. And for me, it was very, I love that, the Beastie Boys and that song Gratitude, MCA used that super fuzz. And so I said, I got to build that, and it ended up doing a lot of tweaks to it, reading stuff, trying things that would make it kind of equally work well for bass and guitar, because I switch myself, and I thought it would be really cool to have one that, had the ability to be voiced for the guitar or the bass kind of deal. So I ended up making several of those, and now we got one of those big cartel things. We're low goods on Big Cartel, and we just put up our first, I guess you could say, the Super Fuzz. We put up about 10 of those yesterday, another 10 coming. And then we have this other one that's kind of like our version of a muff. And we put up, they're all hand painted by Fiona. So we put up a bunch of those as well. So it's kind of like the opposite of the super fuzz. It's more the like creamy texture type fuzz. It has germanium transistors in it that I dumpster dive myself to find for you folks who buy my pedals.
Well,
I salvage
thank you.
electronics and, I go through so much stuff and pull out the little gems and, hand measure them and test out a whole bunch of different combinations. And so that's what I've been doing since we got here. We moved from Oakland to New Paltz about 3 months ago. And I've just been building those two fuzzes, and we make these Atari fuzzes out of Atari joysticks that are busted that I, get in thrift stores or in the garbage and stuff. So I just have amassed a quantity of them. And I make like a Velcro-y bass fuzz in those. I put different circuits in them all the time. I think it's fun. It would be I'm going to work on having a board of all Atari fuzzes with all different circuits in each one.
Yes.
Just have like 7 of them, stacked fuzzes with all different circuits inside each one. So working on a modulation effect at the moment they're all going to be built into salvaged, these like beige Radio Shack intercom containers. I don't know. I found one, like I said, in the garbage one time, and I built a pedal into it. And I said, oh my gosh, not only is this thing kind of the perfect size for a pedal, but it looks really dope. And you can put a lot of circuit in there. It's a decent size on the inside. And so now I'm like hooked on all these old, like Radio Shack 80s type looking stuff. And
I love that. I love that stuff so much. I love seeing that. I have a Game Boy Fuzz that somebody made. It's
those are so amazing. Yeah, that's so cool.
I'm blanking on it. Come on, name of company, come to my brain. Ray Gun Effects over across the pond.
Oh, that's right. They sell out in like a second.
Yeah, they sold out the first run like super fast, and I got in on a second run. This was like 2 or 3 years ago, and I think they have an updated version now, but they always like sell out like immediately because everybody's wishes it was still the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah,
which
Me
I understand.
Too.
The glory days.
I know. I always am listening to my like 90s music and my 80s music, and the kids are just like. These kids, they're into like Billie Eilish and that kind of thing. So I've just got the dad rock going in their eyes.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. I don't even know what category I fall in anymore. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, this is total dad rock. And then I'm like, and now for this noise glitch, weird, abrasive screaming thing. And I don't know. I can't make up my mind anymore. I don't know where I am in life. Lost.
Well, it's kind of awesome that we live in a time when we don't have to, because you can just put any old song. You can find any old song sequentially, one after another on the internet.
Yeah.
Although there's something about I prefer the sound quality of listening to records and tapes and stuff, but it is nice to be able to have stuff like YouTube or Spotify. You could literally be like, remember that one song, like the one hit wonder thing, Mm-hmm. It's nice to be able to just have a gold mine of music to access sequentially in any weird order you want.
I do really like vinyl, and I'm a bit of a vinyl junkie, not as much as some people, but I do quite enjoy going to the record store and flipping through and seeing what they have. And, and then like artists I really like, if they put it out on vinyl, I'll definitely go out of my way to get that copy. But yeah, it is nice for discoverability just to be able to like find new things. And, as much as we complain about algorithms, I've found that the Spotify one is pretty solid. I found some cool new stuff through there that I may not have found otherwise. So it does a good job once you've been listening on it for a while.
It knows us alarmingly well. It does.
It's kind of creepy. I prefer to listen on Apple Music because I know it pays like marginally better than Spotify, and I do pay for Apple Music. But sometimes I gotta just to stay abreast of what things, what's going on, because Spotify is such a huge platform, and obviously this podcast is on Spotify and amongst other places. So I just kind of need to go on there and explore to know what it's doing, because it's part of my job. So
Yeah.
I do get on there, but I'm definitely more of an Apple Music person. But I do like to double dip. I'll stream my favorite artists, and then I'll also like make sure and grab their vinyls. That's kind of my my move.
Yeah. You got to make sure you're going to listen to it enough times, and then it's like, okay, I'm going to get this on vinyl. At least for me, I can't afford to buy as much vinyl like some of my friends have, and it's like rooms full of it. I'm like, dude, I know you. You must have some kind of side hustle. Where are you getting these records from?
Or some people, that's just all they do. That's that. That's not. I have too many collector tendencies, so I can only focus on like guitar stuff and vinyl records, and that I have to stay there, or I'll go crazy, and it won't be good for anybody.
That's why I can't do the record collecting, because I collect parts, and that's like my, my hoarding thing. Parts and music gear.
What's your method with the parts? Like you see a dumpster and you're like, I'm gonna go and look in that dumpster. Or do you like have a set of rounds that you make or something?
Not like so literally. I mean, there are some places where you can find stuff. Like when I lived in LA, it was pretty cool because the Guitar Center on the Strip, the garbage can was always full of gear. So you could find Yeah. So that number one. So that's when I started realizing, especially in LA, dumpster diving at these like electronics places. This place in Burbank, and you can find stuff in there. And simultaneously, I do these like environmental jobs. I do salvaging and stuff. So it kind of started from there. But what it really was is that I really like old pedals, analog stuff and whatnot. And I'm noticing like these parts are so expensive if you can find them. And then a lot of times you spend all that money and then you measure them and they're just not going to work out. They're not, in spec. And so I started reading a bunch of stuff online. Like I said, and you can just tear open old stuff. You look for certain period things that you can say, okay, well, that era of parts is going to be great for that old circuit I want to build, yada, yada. And so I started working for this eco park, and they would literally go to the dump every day. And there'd be 4 of us that would just go and pick things that didn't look like trash out of the like landfill before the bulldozers come and like just put it into a landfill truck. And it's just amazing the stuff you find, because what happens is people pass away, and sometimes their kids or whoever's dealing with it, they just don't want to deal with it. So they literally just put it in the garbage. And it's amazing things a lot of the time. A lot of the times it's garbage. But we found a 62 P bass, like parts of a 62 P bass at the dump.
Whoa.
And my friend spent $1,000 getting it fixed up, but it's like amazing, amazing bass. And, so what I look for like projectors, old stuff. And like in terms of my enclosures, I like stuff from the 80s, the look of it. So I look for answering machines and like, I don't know, dialysis machines, like medical equipment and things like that. And I like to build older type circuits in there. But I just have like a library of all the stuff that I've pulled out of the garbage, like cleaned up, measured. And it's interesting because Fiona's now at the point where she's like, you're never going to use all this. So what are we going to do about it? And she's so right. In a way I wish you could see, because it's literally, now it's in our bedroom. All my little component drawer cases. Like, is that OCD that I just like spend hours measuring and organizing parts? Maybe she's trying to do an intervention, now that I think about it.
It sounds fine to me. I don't know I don't see any issues here.
Because it's a lot. Fine. It's a lot. I'm not going to lie. But, that's cool. Pretty soon I'll just have to send little care packages to my builder friends. Because I can't show up with any more new old stuff unless I get rid of some of the old parts.
That's what I was gonna say. You just have to start building like crazy, and then pretty soon you'll clear out your stock,
Yeah.
and you'll need more. It's a great cycle you found yourself in.
Yeah, it's true. I have to say, there's only a couple of things that I generally have to buy new because I've just found so much, stuff that I need. So that is true. But I think I do have more than I personally, my two little hands could use. So I'm thinking about in the future trying to come up with a little trading post for people who build sound boxes, pedals, synths, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be super fun to be able to keep these things from going into the garbage, and the really good parts have them get used. And so that's sort of like a little future dream I have. Like, the wheels are just starting to turn, but I think it would be cool.
It would be a lot of work, but it sounds like the kind of work you would enjoy doing anyway. So
I think
not
you
so
hit
bad.
you hit the nail on the head right there. I started to realize I think it's my Zen thing is organizing and this kind of thing. And so wouldn't it be nice to be able to get these old parts but have an exact reading for it before you buy
I know
it?
there are builders that would go for that, especially if
Yeah.
they don't have to. I mean, they're going to because half the
Yeah,
people
you
I know are
do.
OCD. They're gonna measure it themselves, but
But
knowing
it
that
just
it's
it
probably gonna
makes
be
you
right.
exactly. It's like whenever you buy anything from Small Bear Electronics, you know that thing when you measure, it's going to be like dead on for what you need it for. And that brings you this like joy as a pedal nerd builder
Mm-hmm.
person.
Well, because it's so frustrating to get a bunch of stuff and throw some of it away or do
Oh
something with
gosh.
it. It's like, oh, it doesn't work the way it's supposed to. Like,
Yeah,
it's
it's
so
and
frustrating.
you have to measure just like hundreds of them, and sort through. And like you said, the ones that are just unusable, we're starting to try and come up with ways to like incorporate them into the art on the things we build.
Oh,
Like
nice.
my niece has been painting pedals. She's like really sick artist. And so she came up with the idea. I have these old, awesome Russian transistors that look so cool, but they're like totally dead. I think they got like microwaved or something because they're done. They're done for. So she cut the legs off of them and started gluing them on the top of the pedal. It looks like a UFO, and she made a little space scene out of it. I was like, "This is genius."
That sounds
I just
awesome.
so it's like we're like really environmentally friendly family. Like I said, I work in salvage, and so we're always trying to find ways to reuse and recycle all the stuff that we find that's good. So this trading post idea is definitely on my mind. Get it circulating a little bit, maybe.
People would definitely be into it. I know so many builders, and there are a lot of them that would be into this, even if it was like for like small batch, like short run.
Oh yeah, just like that
type stuff.
one crazy thing you've never seen before. Like we all have our little stash of these like parts that like it's like, what is that? Like your little your talismans or whatever. But
Right.
yeah, everyone has their little lusty things. Like for me, it's certain delay chips, and for other people, it's like transistors. So, it's kind of fun. And you know what? Trading is so much fun, whether you're trading gear or parts or whatever. I've gotten to know so many awesome people like trading through Instagram, like trading pedals, art. It's just been really cool. Trading is fun, so it would be really exciting to be able to do that with not only gear but parts.
I mean, it's kind of the basis for all things commerce is trading. We've just
Oh yeah,
decided that over time that these pieces of paper or these digital pieces of paper are the preferred currency. But back in the day, before we had all that stuff, it was like, how many chickens can I get for this? That was the whole thing. That's what we've done as humans.
chickens are so much more quantifiable than a piece of paper.
Yes. Like this chicken's going to lay X amount of eggs.
And now it's not even a piece of paper. It's like, click, you just paid $700 to so-and-so. It's like, was that money ever real? You're
it's
just
a weird feeling.
Clicking it around.
I remember thinking that as a kid, like when things were they were starting to become more digital, even with checks. I was like, but the bank says that it's there. But if this bank was just deleted, it wouldn't be there anymore. It's
exactly.
not there.
That's why you got to have the shoebox of cash under your bed.
That's
not that I have that. Don't come here and steal my shoebox of cash because it doesn't exist. But I definitely was like a doomsdayer in my late 20s for a minute. I got really like, after 9/11, I just got like all paranoid and like wouldn't use the bank account and stuff like that. And it's interesting because that's how I felt, at the beginning of this electronic banking thing. I was like, I don't trust it. It could get deleted. It could get hacked. Like there's just a million things you could think of. And now it's just like, I go places and people don't take cash, especially because of COVID. They're like, just put your card in the thing, no cash. Don't touch it, I'm like, okay, what do I do with all this cash that I just took out to pay you with?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I've kind of switched gears. I was sort of like you, not quite to that extreme, but I was like, I kept like some stuff on hand in case I had to get out. And then with all the fires recently, I have kind of gotten back into that mindset a little bit because I did have to load my vehicles. We didn't end up having to leave, fortunately, but we got to load your stuff. You might have to leave status. And I was like, ooh. And I was thinking to myself, like, I got the jump on it a little bit because I was paying really close attention. And I was able to get to the store and get some, cans of nonsense to eat.
Dog food? Don't eat it.
Yeah. Don't eat it? Oh, okay.
You could eat like nuts and berries in the woods. Don't eat dog food. Don't ever let it come to that. That's how it was in the beginning of COVID. That's the only thing that was on the shelves when I would go shopping was like canned, dog food and like that one bag of rice.
It was really weird. Again, like with the COVID thing, I got the jump on it a little bit because I'm just like, well, I'm going to go get a bunch of stuff. And okay, of course, except for toilet paper, I didn't see that coming. But I was like, I'm going to go get, a bunch of frozen stuff and just in case. I was even thinking to myself, it's probably not going to happen, but just in case. And that's kind of how I felt with this fire stuff. I'm like, we're probably not going to have to leave, but I need to get a bunch of stuff and have a case of water on hand and all that jazz. And so I'm kind of switching back into like, you know what? You're not quite prepped up enough. And most people aren't quite prepped up enough. You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to have like hordes of ammo or something, but you should have like a case of water and some beans, like it's not hard to do.
Absolutely. And like, instead of filling up the freezer, remember that if the electricity goes out, that's going to all go bad. So we've been like stockpiling huge bags of rice and beans and stuff, just like you, just in case. But of course, like this summer, the bugs are insane here, and so like this huge bag of rice got worms in it. And we were like, oh, this is what we get for hoarding food.
Right. It's hard to gauge how much you need to have on hand, but you're in a pretty good setup with having some chickens and growing some stuff already. That's better than most people.
It's just in the winter they don't lay, and the little vegetable farm, there probably won't be much going on all winter. But we definitely have been like fire roasting amazing amount of tomatoes and jarring it and that kind of thing. So it's nice to have those summer tomatoes in the dead of winter if you got a bunch of them canned up or whatever.
Might as well, right? They're right there.
We've been doing all this rustic stuff.
I like it. I'm a little bit jealous. That sounds
super fun. It's cool.
I like that. all the more reason I need to get out of town. I want to get out of town one of these days, hopefully. Fingers crossed. We'll see.
So are you in the city?
I'm in the burbs,
Okay.
which is, a little better than being in the city as far as the stuff we're talking about goes. But I'd like to get out further.
Into the woods a little bit. Yeah.
Into the woods. With all the fires, that sounds kind of counterintuitive, but that's just always where I've wanted to be, is kind of out in the woods.
Totally.
I want to go as far as I can and still have good internet. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of what brought us out here, was just the fires keep getting worse. And my family's out here. And so we just wanted to be in the woods. And same thing. It's like the fires kind of were freaking us out, and then the opportunity came up to come out this way, and I said, you know what, let's try it out. I'm a city girl, but let's try this out. And it's been wonderful. It's been really nice being out in nature, not having to listen to just like the constant din of the city with your window open,
Yeah, we went to New York a few times, and while I really enjoy visiting that city, we always leave and we're like, there's no way I could live there. There just isn't. I would go insane. I'm not tough enough to live there. It's too much. Too much. I don't
know if you noticed this, but I notice this now when we go to the city, because we're like an hour and a half north of the city. We go in occasionally, and we just noticed that it's exhausting to spend a day in the city when you're not used to that pace.
Yes.
We'll go in for a few hours and just come home and like pass out, all of us, because it's like, wow, I can't believe I did that every day for this many years.
I've never lived right in the city. I've always been a suburbs dude, suburbs/country, depending on if I was at my grandparents or not. And so, yeah, I could see Portland's a little different. Portland's a little bit lower speed than most major cities, so it's not quite as grinding. But most major cities, like even going up to Seattle, which is a similar part of the country, seems busier and faster paced than Portland and the burbs where I live. So I don't know what it is about Portland, but they're a little slower. Seattle
feels more industrial to me, right? Mm-hmm. Would you say that? I feel like Portland's kind of more. Portland sort of reminds me of Berkeley in a way, in a lot of ways. We thought about moving there. We've been thinking about moving for 2 years and trying to find, like I said, like a woodsier kind of place. And to us, Portland's woodsier than Oakland,
Oh, so, for sure. It definitely is.
A very dear friend of mine lives up there, and he's like, yeah, come on up, hang out, and showed us around, and we really loved it. But we were just like thinking, we kind of want a little more woods.
Yeah.
And so, we checked out a lot of spots in NorCal, but it's just really expensive. There's not a lot of grocery stores, which we like to eat well, like you, and need good food around. And it's like pretty desolate in the area that, we wanted to go look in. But out here in the Hudson Valley, it's like a food paradise over here. We literally just go to farms and pick stuff up. It's amazing.
Oh, it's so good. That's the way you're supposed to do it. I think.
And you know what, too? It's cheaper. I was shocked. Yeah. I was like, because in Berkeley or in Oakland, if we go to the Sunday farmers market, if you want a chicken, you better have $40, because that chicken's going to be $40. If you want that free range pastured. So, we get them out here. It's like $20. I said, oh my gosh, it's like half price.
Right.
So I think a lot of people don't realize, like, you can get the like nice stuff, just go straight to the farm, and you don't, get taxed by retail.
Yeah, that's our move usually, is to get we get like a half or a third cow from a local farm every year.
Yeah, that's what we did like 2 months ago.
It's way better tasting, first of all. It's way better for you. And it's cheaper. There's wins. It's all wins. There's no lose. It's all better.
And they give you a nice variety. You know, it's good stuff that I wouldn't have bought pork breakfast sausage, but it turned out to be like the best meat in that freezer.
Yeah, exactly.
It was amazing.
I love that we're talking about food so much. This is great. Oh,
Do you
geez, I
want-
just realized what time it is.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I haven't even got into the last classic question. So before we do that, here's your opportunity to put up a billboard. You can say whatever you want to say. If you got a message you want to get in front of a few thousand people, now is a good time to do it.
Adopt, don't shop.
All
Adopt
right.
senior animals. There's a million of them on Instagram. They're all doing good work, and I'm super passionate about that. Give a wonderful senior that last home of their dreams, and I've been doing it for a lot of years now, and I can't tell you how rewarding it is, and they're potty trained senior animals. Until they're in diapers, you're golden.
Right.
All babies start out in diapers, and all humans end up in them. Hopefully not us, but these guys usually do, the elderly ones. But it's just such an amazing experience that I can't recommend it enough.
That's perfect. I love it. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking for. Sometimes it ends up being a plug, which is totally fine and acceptable. But I like it when people have a little bit of a different message to share. So that was really nice. Thank you for that.
Thanks for letting me say it.
Of course. Of course. Okay, here we go. Classic questions. So first one being, what is your favorite Boss pedal?
Favorite Boss pedal? Let's see. It's like different every week, but I use a Boss PH2 for like 25 years on my board with Boss Phaser. Mm-hmm. And I'd love to get one of the PH1, but I haven't come across one that's not like a ridiculous amount of money. But that's the most useful Boss pedal to me.
PH2, solid pick. That works. All right, last one. Here we go. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
It's a tough one. Being from Jersey, I got to say squares. But you want a specific flavor, right? A plain square, I would say.
A plain square from Jersey?
Yeah.
You got a favorite
It's kind
spot?
of like, so a square is like not as thick as Sicilian pizza. It's not deep dish, but it's, maybe half an inch tall.
Okay.
And it's delicious. And it's something I usually only see like here in the tri-state area.
Do you have a favorite spot that you'd like to plug from Jersey?
Oh, yeah. Mr. Bruno's in Lyndhurst, New Jersey is the absolute best pizza I've had anywhere on earth.
Oh, man. All right. I like that. Said with conviction as well.
Well,
You've
it's
been around some
also
places.
it's so fun to visit because they haven't changed the decor since the 70s. So it's just like this total like rock and roll pizzeria. I
love
like
that.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. And the food's always good. So there's my plug, Mr. Bruno's.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was a really fun chat. I could do this all day. You're a
Thank you so
wonderful
much for having me.
conversationalist. This is great.
Yeah, you've been super nice. I really appreciate it.
All right. For Aisha, this is Blake. And as always, folks, good luck and good tones. Alrighty, folks. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. And if you didn't, well, I don't know what to say. Why'd you listen for so long? That's ridiculous. You should have switched it off and went to something else if you weren't enjoying it. What's wrong with you? Glutton for punishment. Anyway, if you did enjoy it as much as I did, there's more. You can go to patreon.com/tonemob, and yeah, there's more of this talk. It's great. In fact, there are, I don't even know how many hours of extra content over there on Patreon. All you have to do is go there, you sign up for $5 a month, you get a ton more content. A lot. In fact, one extra episode a week's worth of content. It's a lot. So please slide over there. I hope you enjoyed this. Please share it with a friend. If it's not in the cards right now for you to go to Patreon, I get it. Things are weird for everyone. It's a weird time. But what you can do is share this with your guitar playing friends or your people who would just enjoy this. It doesn't even have to be guitar players. Every download matters, and I'm telling you, it's a huge thing. So please, send this to your friends. Keep those downloads coming. That's what keeps the show going, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye. One last thing before we totally sign off here, I just want to remind you that if you do any shopping at Stringjoy, that's Stringjoy guitar strings made in Nashville, that will help me out as well. As I've said for years, I'm heavily involved in that company, and I really do think they're making the best products on the market. So if you would like to try custom strings, go to tonemob.com/stringjoy and check them out today. I seriously love what the team down there is doing. I help them out with all kinds of things, and by you supporting them, you are also supporting me as well. And hey, you need some strings, so why not get some custom strings just for your guitar and playing style? Again, the link for that is tonemob.com/stringjoy, and that will take you right to their website, and you can do all your shopping through there, and that will help everyone involved out. So thank you very much. Talk to you next time. We are brought to you by the wonderful folks at Gun Street Wiring Shop. Yes, Gun Street Wiring Shop. I've talked about them before. I used to say based out of Bend, Oregon, but guess what? Sean moved to my neck of the woods. Sean's in Portland. Sean is awesome and has helped me with a bunch of stuff lately. And if you have wiring needs for your guitar, he can help you too. If you want to get weird with it, he can get weird. If you just need to spruce things up a little bit, there's your guy. He takes all the guesswork out of doing your guitar wiring, and he makes it simple, and his customer service is top-notch, and I can't say enough good things about Gun Street as a company. I really respect Sean and what he's all about, and the product is top-notch. I've got 3 different guitars that now have Gun Street harnesses in them, and I could not be happier. So go to gunstreetwiringshop.com and check them out.